Hey gang, we're here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina at the College of Charleston. PJ and I brought 6 of our students from a senior design class. What they're doing is they're meeting with their Charleston counterparts. See, on the UAH side, they're the engineers. On the Charleston side, they're the scientists. And the scientists come up with the science objectives, just like you came up with your science objective. The Charleston scientists, the undergraduates in the science courses, they come up with the objectives that our engineers provide the solution for. And so we brought them here so they could meet for a face-to-face, and we wanted to do some videos while we were here. So we're going to walk around and talk to some of the scientists and engineers and see what they think about the process and about all of this stuff. So thanks a lot. Hey gang, this is team EF on the UAH side, and we got our engineers over here in plaid. That's Joe and Mark, and here we have the College of Charleston students. Can you introduce yourselves?
I'm Angela.
Elliot. John.
Hey, this is Dr. Hackala here. He's observing, making. Yeah,
Hacky the most.
Hacky the most. He's the parental. He's the adult supervision in this room because they need it, right?
Yeah.
So, just real quick, what do y'all think is the most important thing you've learned? What's the toughest part about all this?
Communication.
They didn't rehearse that at all. So, thanks, gang. We'll let y'all get back to your work. Thanks a lot. Bye. Wait. Gang, this is Dr. Cassandra Runyon, Cass. She's a professor here at the College of Charleston, and we just surprised her. So,
Hi everybody.
hey.
We're cleaning up after messes.
Yep.
Spilling oil everywhere.
Yeah, the scientists.
Sliding around.
The very cool part about coming to College of Charleston with the scientists is that they have some awesome demos and show us, and we'll have some of those demos online for you guys so you can see them. Thanks, Cass.
Thanks for playing.
Hey gang, I am here with Team Evolve.
Our landing sites.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting Team Evolve. Hey guys, this is, there in the middle we have Taylor and Sarah from UAH, and here we have, what are your names please? Kevin?
Yes.
From College of Charleston, and
Ryan Sullivan.
Ryan from College of Charleston. Hey gang, real quick, pop quiz guys. I'm gonna get Kevin in frame too. Okay, pop quiz. What is the toughest part about this project?
Communication.
Right.
Scientists.
Communication. All right, thanks.
Getting the job done.
Getting the job done. All right, gang. Thanks a ton, and I'll let y'all get back to your hard work. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, gang. We're here with the last team, Team MTV. So this is Team MTV, Mission to Venus.
Hey.
Hey, gang. On the left, we have Ari and Rachel from UAH, wave. And then on the right, we've got
Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson.
Zach Griggs.
Zach.
And Mai.
And Mai from College of Charleston. These are our scientists. We got the scientists and engineers communicating and talking very well together. Rachel's
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. So hey gang, real quick pop quiz. What is the toughest part about this?
You just said communication.
Communication.
You gave me the answer.
That's true. My bad. Good call.
I like those kind of quizzes.
Cut it out.
Yeah.
Cut. We'll take care of that. We'll take care
Yeah,
of that.
I will edit that part out.
Yeah.
So, thanks gang. Anything else you want to say?
Good luck.
Stay in school.
Stay in school. Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Thanks guys. Bye.
Hey guys, so hopefully you saw the video just a second ago about the College of Charleston and the scientists that we're working with this semester. We just kind of want to give you a little taste of what they're doing and the interaction that they're having. Much like what you guys are doing with your science and your engineering, even though you're sitting on one team, it's very interesting to look at. So we also wanted to discuss, you've survived your first review, the post PSR is what we're after. So the payload status review, this has happened. You're not dead, you're not that bloody, so you're okay. What we need you to do now is begin the transition to PCR, right? It's all about these reviews, so the payload concept review. So you've gotten comments back about the presentation, and you're getting comments back about your paper, your payload status document. What you need to do now is download the templates for the PCR and for the payload concept proposal, and begin to put the data that is in both of those, your documents that you had at PSR, into those documents. You'll see a lot of the slides look the same. A lot of the sections in the payload concept proposal look the same. Transfer that data into those, as well as incorporate the comments that you saw, okay? There's gonna be some rampant comments that are just crazy and you don't follow those. Look at the general trends of the comments. If several reviewers point out something you did that's probably something you want to change in your documentation or in your PowerPoint. So do those kinds of things. Don't worry about every little thing, because reviewers will pick on certain things, but the overall common things is what you're after, all right? So go ahead and incorporate those things in there and get ready, because this is the first one. This was the smallest one. This was the baby step to get you ready for the big boy, which is the PCR, which will only be in about another month or month and a half, and it happens. So it begins to pick up a lot quicker now. So just remember that. And then again, if you have any questions, if you want to, you can talk to your POC, because they could answer the question for you maybe, or email Matt or I, and we will be happy to get back with you, or the teacher, and that way we can find out what the deal is, or if there is an issue that we need to resolve quickly. So you survived. Pat yourself on the back. It's a good moment to celebrate, but we got to keep going. So let us know if you have any questions. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, okay, so now we got to talk about decision analysis, and basically that's a fancy word for determining a choice, okay? And so right now what you've done is you've created these two concepts. We've told you to create these two concepts, so hopefully we've got these two now. And now we need to create a formal way of evaluating those two concepts, to choose one, to figure out which one is best. Right?
And what best means.
Yes, and what best means. And so remember, you have two customers, as we've defined it for you, UAH and NASA, that you both need to work with. And so this video and this little section of the video is to discuss the formal method that we use at UAH and that we want you to use in evaluating these concepts. So Matt's going to give you a little bit more detail, because we figured out the one thing you guys know more than anything is about cars, right? And so we're going to buy a car. And so Matt's going to go through this with you, and Matt was going to say something.
Yeah. Even though this is, well, we're calling this a formalized decision analysis, you do this every single day when you get dressed to go to school. I know every day you guys are like, okay, it's cold out, it's snowy out, or whatever, it's hot out, and then, the days when we come, you're like, I got to look good for Matt and PJ, because they always look styling, obviously. And so,
see, Matt's having a good hair day.
Yeah, I'm having a good hair day. So I'm excited about that. And so in your head, you're thinking, okay, I can wear this, I could do that, I could, So you're doing a decision analysis in your own head. You have different, we're going to call them figures of merit, which we'll talk about what that is in a minute. You have different criteria for what you should wear, but it's just done all in the back of your head. But what we're going to do, this is what engineers do, we take things that people do on a normal basis, we put them on PowerPoint charts and make them boring. So that's what we're going to do with decision analysis. Do you have any other?
So what you're going to do, because Matt's going to start explaining it, but he wants to make sure you understand, you need to follow along in your book. So this starts on page 47, and this is a few slides, or a few pages in the book that we put together about decision analysis. And so Matt's going to go over it, but this kind of gives you the meat behind it. So if you go, what did Matt say? Because you fell asleep while Matt was talking, which
Yes.
I know you never do.
It happens.
You can look in the book, and it's actually in there as well. So remember that. Because the ultimate objective, while this is to buy a car, you need to start figuring out which alternative is better for you, right? Which one does more for your science, which one handles everything that you need, because we've got to get that decision made pretty quickly, so therefore we can go into detailed design and the engineering analysis when Matt starts geeking out about the physics.
Right.
So we need to get you there first. So that's what this little lecture is about today that we're going to work on.
All right, so when you guys, raise your hand if you've heard of a car. You've seen a car, ridden in a car before? Thank you. So you guys think about cars a lot. It's going to become painfully obvious really quick here, and I'll just give you guys a heads up that I know very little about cars, okay? I'm a mechanical engineer, and I know the long pedal on the right makes it go. That's about the extent of my knowledge, okay? Seat heaters are nice, I do know that, but
You notice he didn't tell you anything about the brakes.
I know, his brakes, don't need them. I don't know much about cars. However, I know you guys know about cars. So I'm holding a pink marker, that does not work. Okay, so when you think about a car, what do you think about? What are some, so the game here we're gonna play a game, sorry. The game is, we're gonna give you guys a suitcase full of cash, okay? An undisclosed amount of cash, okay? It's enough to buy a decent car, all right? And you get to keep the change if you don't use all the cash. So you can go cheaper if you want, and you can keep the change and use that for gas or college tuition. You know, just saying, whatever you want to do. So so that's the game we're going to play. And PJ's going to interrupt when he sees that I forget something to do. All right, just giving PJ a heads up, really. So.
Don't worry, I will.
So when you think about a car, when you think about buying a car, you know, you think about stuff you want to look for in a car. What do you think about? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Gas mileage. That's right. So gas mileage,
So what
miles
he's-
per gallon.
What he's talking about now are sort of called figures of merit.
Yeah, I was going to tell him that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's the second
See, I
thing?
don't know when to interrupt you now.
Okay. So these are attributes. These are things you look for in a car. Okay. And in engineering, we call them figures of merit, or FOMs. Why do we call them FOMs? Because it's a fun word to say. That's exactly why we call them FOMs, okay? Figures of merit. But they're attributes. So what's another thing you look for? Cost. Cost is also important, right? Cost. I'm going to keep going. Aesthetics is what you look for. Let's be honest, right? And I don't know how to spell aesthetics. So I'm going to write some letters on the board, and we'll just go with it, okay? But it's aesthetics.
I hope it looks cool. T. I see.
Okay, aesthetics, and how it looks, right? And then options are always really important because you can't get the seat heaters without them. Options are important. The size of the vehicle is important, right? If you want, size is always important. Size is important. Not going there. Size is not something I'm going to make a joke about today. What else? Safety is also important. I'm looking at a cheat sheet. Yes, you caught me. Okay, so safety is important. And for the purposes of this demonstration, how do you spell safety?
E-T-Y.
And for the purposes of demonstration, we're going to do 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that?
That's 6.
That's 6. We're going to do 6. 6 FOMs is where we're going to draw the line. Okay, so.
But you can have as many as
Yeah.
you need that are true, because what a figure of merit is it is a discriminator between things, between concepts, right?
When you look for something, when you're shopping for a car, what do you look at that discriminates this car from this car?
Which makes this one go, ooh, that's neat, to that one go, ugh, that's yucky,
Right.
That's a discriminator, whatever those are. If they're the same, if they're not really FOMs because they're the same thing.
Right.
It's like whoop-de-darn deal. So
And
they
so-
don't discriminate. They don't make you like one thing or prefer one thing over another.
And for
okay?
a car, these are some basic discriminators for cars, okay? So this is our FOM list. FOMs. I think we can see up there. This is the FOM list. No, I increased the field of view.
Okay.
So
We're having a little side discussion here, don't worry.
yes. So very important. FOMs. Every FOM you have on your team, every FOM that your team comes up with needs to have 2 basic things: a definition. Everyone on the team needs to know what that FOM is, and then a directionality. I call it a directionality, a preference. Which is better, higher or lower? Okay. Some of them are obvious, but some of them are not so obvious, and we'll make sure that we cover that. So,
But the definition, the way to really show you know the definition, is form it as a question.
right.
We saw that last semester with several high schools, and when they created it as a question, the definition, it really showed that they knew, and it actually showed their preference as well.
Right.
And so that was really neat to see, so we encourage you to do that in this as well.
So gas mileage, how fuel efficient is the car? That's the definition of it, and of course the directionality. What do we prefer? We prefer higher gas mileage, right? So cost is an interesting one. Do we mean sticker cost? Do we mean total cost of ownership? Do we mean cost of insurance? Do we mean cost of the gas? What do we mean when we say cost? And for this demonstration, it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. The point being is that when you guys come up with these FOMs on your team, you need to know exactly what these FOMs mean. Everyone needs to be in agreement. The last thing, or the second last thing you want to happen when you're in the final review is for a board member to say, what does that FOM mean? And one person says, oh, it means total cost of ownership. And the other person says, I thought it meant sticker price. So everyone on the team needs to make sure you understand what your FOMs are. It's very important.
What's the first thing, Matt?
You don't want a meteor to hit the building. That's the first thing you don't want to happen during the review. The second thing is to not know what your FOMs are, okay? So no one ever asks that's why I've done this for like 4 years and said that exact same phrase. No one has ever asked me what the first thing was. So cost And again, let's just call this sticker price for the purposes of this demonstration. And what do you want? What do we want, higher or lower? We want lower, correct. Lower sticker price. So lower is what we want. Aesthetics, we want, I mean, if we call aesthetics higher or low, we call it higher, right? We want better, more, whatever aesthetics.
Cooler.
Cooler. Options, same way, we want more options, better options, cooler options. Size. Ooh, everyone quiet. Do we want a big car or a little car? I'm pausing what they're going to answer. But it depends. It depends, right? It depends on who's buying it. Do we want a big car? You know, if you're like a mom, like a minivan, you know, soccer mom, or do you want a sports car? You know, or so you want a Mini Cooper, or do you want a?
You had your midlife crisis, like you.
Yeah, you want an SUV. I had my wife's car. I just inherited it. So, but
Not your midlife, because you're right.
no, I don't want to talk about it. So, anyway, so size is one of those. Size is interesting because you'll see some FOMs that depend on what the customer wants, right? What does the customer want? And you, like PJ said in the very beginning, you have two customers. You have UAH and NASA, and for the most part, they'll see eye to eye. Sometimes they won't see eye to eye. And for example, one of them might be UAH wants you to use the fewest amount of resources as possible. They want you to use the lowest mass and the smallest volume. They want you to be the smallest impact on their vehicle, okay? NASA doesn't really care. NASA wants you to do the most science you can do, okay? And they don't care as long as you don't go over your required 5 kilograms. NASA doesn't care. And so that's why it's in the eye of the customer. And that's, we're the customer in this case. We're buying the car, so we're the customer. And so we decide whether it's bigger or smaller. And if you guys have to choose, if you say, well, how do we choose between NASA and UAH? Basically, who's going to be at the final review? That's just a little tip right there. And as far as UH is concerned, yes, NASA is. UH won't be there. So as far as UH is concerned,
We will be, but we're not your
we're not really. We're not judging you. So as far as NASA is concerned, or as far as UH is concerned, as long as you don't go over your 5 kilogram mass allowance, you're fine. Some of you may ask for waivers, and you may have good reasons for that. That's also okay. But you need to justify it very well, and you need to get a waiver for it. But we'll talk about mass waivers later. However, so size is one of those. It's in the eye of the beholder. So I'm going to put like one of these little sideways arrows. I guess you can do it up or down. I'm not sure. But we don't really know right now what to do with size. Okay. Safety. You always want more safety, right? 5-star, 4-star, whatever the ratings, right? So safety, want more safety. So we've got definitions. What's the fuel efficiency? What is the sticker price? How cool does it look? What are the different bells and whistles? Do they call it those? Like, can I get Bluetooth, iPod integration, seat heaters, seat coolers? That's a new one. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Size, how large or small is the vehicle? And then safety, how, if I'm in an accident, will I survive?
Number of
airbags, that kind of thing. So, so these are our figures of merit. And so my next question for you guys, are these figures of merit created equal? I mean, are they of equal importance to you? The answer is probably no. So we need to apply a weight factor to them, some sort of weighting to show that some are more important than others, right?
But something else you need to realize about these figures of merit is they're different. They're qualitative and quantitative in nature,
yes.
right? Because miles per gallon, right, that's a number. We see it on the sticker of a car. It tells you how many miles per gallon. It's by a standard test, standard procedure, right, all that. We call that a quantifiable, and we're seeing Matt go crazy over here going through the camera. It's a quantifiable thing. It's a number, right, that we can get and we can use. Cost is the same thing. Aesthetics, not so much, It's more of a coolness factor, so it's qualitative in nature. It doesn't have a hard number to it. And that's what's really neat about multi-criteria decision analysis, which is what we're actually teaching you right now, is you can use both quantifiable and qualitative things in there, different forms, okay? And so that's something you need to realize is that everything doesn't have to be a number, all right?
Right.
It can be more of a, that one looks better. That's a better scale.
Sometimes even numbers, like if one of the FOMs dealt with mass or something, sometimes you might not know the exact number, but you have a feel, okay, we think this one's going to be heavier than this one.
Right.
So there's a relative value there.
Yes.
Because again, we're still kind of in the middle stages here. We don't have all the numbers yet. We don't have everything designed yet. We don't know what all our materials are going to be. So we don't know all the masses. We don't know everything yet. So Sometimes you can use, sometimes the FOMs that would be quantitative, like numbers, you can do comparisons on those as well. So, so yeah, we're gonna have our weight factor, our weight, that's a W up there. But weights, we're gonna restrict you guys. Everyone's gonna be, everyone's used to, is 1 through 10. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna do, you can give a weight, a 1, a 3, or a 9, just like on page 49 and 50, they describe, 49 actually describes the weighting factors. You can give a 1, a 3, or a 9 value, a weight factor for each of your FOMs. That's all they can get is a 1, a 3, or a 9. 1 being least important, 9 being most important, and 3 being the middle.
Did you say 5?
I did not say 5.
Did you say 7?
I did not say 7.
Yeah.
Well, just say for just now. But you cannot know. So 1, a 3, or a 9. And the reason we do this, if people are saying, why 1, 1, a 3, or a 9? You're flicking them off? And, so the reason we do this, for several reasons, it makes you make a decision early on. If we said you could have any number 1 through 5, it would be like 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. That's boring. It helps. That does not help us at all. Furthermore, a 1, a 3, or a 9 gives us a definite winner, typically. Typically, there's one answer or one design alternative that's going to end up being the winner, and that's important. The third worst thing that can happen when you do a decision analysis is to do the whole thing and spend all that time and not get an answer from it. Is to say, okay, we tied, or this is not conclusive, the information. So you want to make sure, if you spend all this time doing a decision analysis, that it gives you a decision. So the weight factors are a 1, a 3, or a 9. And again, 1 being least important, 9 being most important. This is okay. So PJ's going to entertain you while I draw these lines, and So alrighty. So gas mileage, how important is it? 1, 3, or 9?
Very.
Very. 9. Cost, how important is it? Low. Again, it's a sticker price. 3. It's about a middle. Aesthetics. Let's be honest. Aesthetics.
You want cool crap?
Yes, 9. Options.
Another cool crap?
Yes, 9 is very, very, yes. Size. What do we decide on size? It's middle of the road. Yeah, we can't really define which way is better anyway. So 3. Safety. You're young.
You'll survive anything.
Go big or go home. Let's give it a 1.
You're flexible.
Yeah, you're flexible. Yeah. You will heal. You got so many years to heal. Okay. So yeah. So these are our weight factors: 9, 3, 9, 9, 3, 1. You always want to go back after you assign weight factors. You always want to go back and go, does this make sense? So you go back and you look, does this make sense? So the most important things we have, most important things we have are gas mileage, aesthetics, and options. Does that make? Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate.
For you.
For you.
See, that's the point, is we're buying a car for you.
Yes.
Right? If I was doing this, safety would be my number 1 thing, because I have babies.
Yes.
I have little teeny tiny children. And my entire goal is if I'm in an accident, I want every airbag on God's green earth to deploy and my children go, "Nyeh," and don't move. Right?
Correct.
Not so much for you. You don't care about that right now.
No.
So I'm willing to give up maybe miles per gallon or cost. I pay for something more.
Definitely aesthetics.
See, I don't care about being cool no more.
They drive a minivan. Yeah.
Yeah. They actually are cool. He just doesn't want to admit it.
I do like them.
Yeah.
I do.
So see, I would give up some other things. I want my options. I gotta have my options. I got the Bluetooth, the heated seats. Cause my butt, I need the warm butt.
It's like a gateway drug. Once you go seat heater, you never go back. Yeah.
But see, I would change this because it's me. So again, this is weighting. These importance factors are being weighted per the customer. Right?
And you guys, the high school students, are the customers in this case.
Right, for the car. So when you do this for your payload, you've got to think, what do you think is the most important, middle importance, and least importance for NASA and UAH, right? So you've got to remember that when you do this. This is not about you. This is about what the customer is feeling, right? So remember that.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Yes, and so and you'll notice also, we have no alternatives up here.
We haven't thought about them.
Our figures of merit are
even though
independent.
they're written down here.
They're independent of the alternatives, and that it's difficult because you've already come up with your alternatives. Now we're
just take them and set them aside.
Yeah, now we're asking you to come up with FOMs, but try to think about this without thinking of the alternatives in mind. We've seen it in the past where one of the teams will put like, is blue as a FOM, and one of the alternatives is blue.
Shocker.
Yeah, and it won.
Guess which wins?
That's kind of obvious,
Yeah.
and the boards don't like that because it's obvious, and you're gaming the system. It's easy enough to game as it is, so don't make it obvious at least. So the FOMs are independent of the alternatives, and in this case the cars, or in your case the alternative designs. So what 3 cars we're going to use? We're going to use 3 cars. Let's go big or go home, right? The first one's going to be a Lamborghini. So Lambo, if I can spell, Lambo. Second one's going to be a Ford F-150. F-150. Get the trucks in there, the people that like trucks. And the last one, we're going to go, Honda Accord. I think I'm on the line straight. So,
That's not straight.
I know. Accord, Honda Accord. So, what you do now is you apply a score. You score each of these alternatives, these design alternatives, the cars in this case, you score them all with respect to the single FOM you're looking at. So we're going to score Lamborghini, F-150, or Honda Accord per each of these, for each of these rows. And now, also important is we're going to apply the scores are also going to be a 1, that's off the screen I'm sure, a 1, a 3, or 9. The scores are also 1, 3, or 9, okay? But
Did you say 5?
I did not say 5.
Did you say 7?
No, but earlier only when I was saying I didn't say it.
Right.
So,
So we don't want to see those. That's the point.
and you don't have to have a first, middle, most in every. You can have ties.
Yes.
You can have situations where you don't have a 3 or a 9 or a 1 in any single row.
Right.
It's just how you guys think this work. How you guys think these should be scored, and we'll go through this and it'll make sense. So gas mileage, which is best? How does a Lamborghini? That's the 1. F-150, that'd be a 3. So, no, it's a 1.
It's like
1, and then the Accord. You need to help me out here. And then the Accord is the 9.
Yeah.
Honda Accord's incredible gas
actually about
mileage.
the F-150 probably is a 3.
Well-
It's probably better than the Lambo.
I've done the math. We're sticking with this. And
Or you could put also a comma. in
that's
3.
true. If there is dissension, if there is disagreement in the team, you can put a comma in there. And but if you explain this to the
That's
board,
a
that's
crazy
a very,
3.
very bad 3. You can put a comma in there and give an alternative number. And what you do is you calculate using the first number and then calculate using the second number. We'll talk about the calculations in a second. So cost. Now cost. Okay, we want lower cost, right? We want lower cost. So which car gets the highest score? Okay. Remember, ultimately, overall, the highest score wins. So we don't give the highest score to the highest priced vehicle because we want cost to be low. So we give the highest score to the lowest
Lambo.
priced vehicle.
The Lambo.
No, not the Lambo. Lambo's like $100 grand or $250 grand. So
Are you sure?
yes, I looked it up on Wikipedia. No, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but it's expensive. So we're giving the Lambo as a 1. The F-150 is a 3,
No.
and the Accord is a 9. So
Because
that's
the Accord costs the
least of the 3, okay? And that's why we want low cost, and the score, ultimately at the bottom, the highest score wins, and so since we want low cost, the lowest cost vehicle gets the highest score. Everybody follow? I say this a lot because teams mess this up. When we go from a high preference to a low preference, they get confused a lot, okay? Just want to make that clear, that this is just so if you have something that relates to mass as one of your FOMs, make sure that, and the preference is low, make sure that you give the one with the lowest mass expectation or something like that, the highest score. Everybody understand? Good. So aesthetics. All right, aesthetics is gonna be fun. So what do we got?
991.
So yeah, the Lambo is a 9, F-150 is a 9, and the Accord, let's be honest, is a 1. They're all right, but So options. Are all 9s?
Yeah.
Options. So pretty much, you can get pretty much all the options on all the vehicles nowadays. I mean, the Lambo might come with wings. I don't know if it does yet, but that was a joke. But basically, options are pretty much standard across the board. Bluetooth, seat heaters, stuff like that. So now let's go back to options as a FOM. If PJ said that these are supposed to be discriminators, right? And if it's a
Supposed to
tie,
help you pick.
it's supposed to help you pick. If it's a tie across the board, no pun intended, if it's a tie across the board, does that help you choose anything? Negative. So what we do is we leave it up there in the chart, we draw a line through it to indicate that it was a tie. We're not using it in the calculation, okay? We're not going to use it in the final calculation because it'll mess up our percentages. But we want to show the board that we thought that this was important enough to include as a FOM. It just was a tie, so it's not going to be used, okay? When I'm on a board, I like to see what the teams list as their FOMs because it lets us see what the teams think is important, okay? So keep it as a FOM, keep it up there, and then when you talk about it, you can say options was a tie across the board. We left it up there to show you we considered it an important FOM, but we marked it out because it's not used in the calculation, okay? So, does that make sense? So size. This is a tough one, to be honest with you. I'm kind of torn about this. Like an old sweater. Do we go Lambo's small, F-150's big? So where do we give the high score?
Non-accord's kind of Goldilocks.
Non-accord's in the middle, yeah.
In between.
So what do we do with that? Do you know what we typically do is in situations like this where it's so subjective, so dependent on the customer that we can't compare these. This FOM is important, but we can't use it for comparison's sake because of the nature of the FOM.
We don't know the customer that well.
We don't know the customer that well, correct. We leave it up there again, mark it out, don't put a score in there, so the customer knows that we considered this important, but we didn't know the customer well enough to establish FOMs for it, or to establish scores rather, I'm sorry, for it. And it's not used in the calculation. So basically it's gone. Last one, safety. Important stuff, right? Safety.
193.
So we're going to score that. The Lambo, it goes like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Let's be honest, there's like no seatbelts in it. So it's a 1. F-150, there's no substitute for steel. I mean, it's just raw mass, right? So, and you can roll over everything anyway. Just run over the Lamborghini. And then the cord, yeah. And the cord is kind of middle of the road. It's pretty safe, but it's no F-150. So, so there we go.
I'll probably put a 3 here too.
Okay, so we'll put that as a 3 and mess up all my calculations.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like aesthetics for F-150.
yeah, the way the math works on this is it's the weight. So this weight value, these values right here.
You can use the other color.
Oh no, I can't. Can I? These are the weight values, even though we don't use these at all. And we multiply the weight. So it's weight times the score plus weight times score plus weight times score plus weight times score plus weight times score plus. And then there's a total at the bottom.
Weight times the score?
It's the weight times the score.
Okay.
And there's a total at the bottom. So 9 times 1 is 9, 3, 81. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. 1. Is that right? So check my please.
Yeah.
So we got a 9 times. I'm going to use this first value here because that's what I've already calculated. 9, 9, 81. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This is a 9. And a 81, 27, 9, doesn't matter, 3. And so the total scores that we have are
94.
94 for the Lambo, 108,
120.
120. So in our first run through with 1 here and 9 here, for the Accord's going to win. Okay. In our second run through, when we change this 81 to a 27, the Accord's going to win even more. And this 9 going to 27 won't make the difference between this 81. So Accord's going to win. Okay. So what you do with these commas, if there's disagreement in your team.
So like 72.
Yeah. So I can't imagine your teams would have any disagreement at all. But if there is disagreement in your teams on the way these are scored, then you run it through multiple times. Basically, you do it multiple times. And so, Excel. If you guys know how to use it, Microsoft Excel, this is made for it because it's just multiplication and then addition down the columns. And so it's quite easy. You can actually put a couple of cells here. This one this would be the cell for the for the raw score, then the multiplied score. So you'd sum it down. And so this is made for Excel. And then once you get it set up in Excel, you can change the weights or change the weight values if there's disagreement in the weight values. or disagreement in the scores, you can change some of the scores to see if that impacts the total. Generally speaking, we tell the teams if there's if they're less than 10% difference, then it's basically a tie. And you'll see right here that 120, 10% of 120 is 12, right? And so that's exactly 10%. So it's not less than 10%. So the Accord still wins. But because we make so many assumptions during this decision analysis with the weights and the FOMs, we make so many assumptions, we give ourselves plus or minus 10% basically. And so you want to have a clear winner. And if you're inside 10%, then you should look more closely at those weights and those scores and your designs in general, and see if there's any any other FOMs you can come up with, or see if there's any sort of if there was something you didn't think about when you're going through this entire thing.
And one big thing to note right now, the one that does get the highest score is the one you choose.
Correct.
Okay? We have had teams before not do that, and that just defies all logic. Because if you still pick one that doesn't score the highest, there was a FOM you didn't tell us about. Because there's still something there that's telling you, I don't care what this says, I still want the F-150. Then there's something there. There's some reason why the F-150 still wins for you. And that's a figure of merit you haven't told us about.
For instance, if
don't do that. Okay?
If part of this, if we were saying we're going to go haul some stuff, or if we're going to go, if we wanted to, tow a trailer or something with this vehicle, then we should have had towing capacity as a FOM.
Yep.
And the F-150 would have kicked butt in that category. Can I
Yep.
say that on video? I can say that on video. And so if there are other FOMs, or like PJ said, we've seen it before where teams would go, I know the Accord won mathematically, but we're picking the Ford F-150, then you're missing some FOMs, okay? And so go back and think about that.
And also what this does is allows you to see where the strengths and weaknesses are of the choice.
Yes.
Okay, so the Accord won, right? 120. She didn't win everything, Let's see, she won MPG, she won cost. Look at there. Aesthetics,
Ugly.
which we said, this is very, 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 very important to us, right? This was a deal, it got a 1, right? But the Lambo and the F-150, 293, whatever, right, they got higher. So could we take some of the features of the Lambo and put them on Accord? That would look like a freaky vehicle in my opinion, but it could happen, right?
Or could we take some of the features that the Accord, that the others did poorly in, and add those to the
Right.
So
we want you to do that with your two designs as well. So you're going to have two concepts, and one concept shouldn't win everything. So then you look back and go, can we take the parts of the other concept that are strong, put them with the concept that we picked, and make a super concept, right? Concept 3. So that's what you're going to do. So this also helps you do that. So remember that as a part of this. So you might end up coming in and creating a new super car, right? That's right here, and you make it to where it gets all nuns down through here. And that would be your goal, is to create a design that makes every FOM, it scores high on every FOM.
and this
right?
this doesn't make it's tougher to do with cars because the cars are discrete objects that we can't push together. But with your design,
Concepts you can.
With your concepts, it's easier to do.
Yeah.
So, lastly, everybody get this? We're good here. This is in your book on page 51, by the way. You can fill that in. We're going to have some supporting material we didn't mention yet for this and for what we're going to talk about in just one second. It'll be online on the downloads page. Make sure you go and download it. It'll be called the Figure of Merit presentation or something like that. It'll have the word FOM in it. Let's just say
He
that.
doesn't know.
I haven't made it yet, but it'll have the word FOM in it. Just look for the word FOM on the right-hand side of the downloads page where it says presentations from the videos. Look for that there.
Because just FYI, we're in Charleston this weekend.
Yes.
And Matt left the baby Mac, the computer at
I
home.
left my computer at home.
And so he's just not happy.
I feel weird right now.
Yeah, so see, he can't even think straight about what he'll call stuff
Cannot.
because the computer's not here to help him out.
Don't know what to do.
Yeah, because you see him every time when he comes in. He's got that backpack and he's got the computer and everything, and it's just not here right now. So he's just feeling really verklempt.
My whoopee, yes.
Yeah.
So the next few minutes here, we're going to tell you. Okay, so this is all fine and dandy, right? How does this relate to your payload at all? How does this help you with your payload? Is
Nada.
this 0? If you put aesthetics as a FOM, unless and I'm just going to tell you this right now. If you put aesthetics as a FOM, you better have a really good reason for it, okay? So
There's like a really not
we had
many.
one team in 5 years that worked for, and that's
Right.
been it. So
We don't
so
care how cute it looks.
these will not be the FOMs for your payload. I can pretty
Nope.
much say that. The gas mileage, I know it won't be. So, so we're going to help you with some FOMs for your payload. PJ's going to on that side of the board, so PJ's going to talk about them real quick. So when you think about your FOMs, think about what is important in your mission. What is important to your customers, right? You've got to think about what's important to the customer. What's important to your NASA customer? What's the most important part of this mission? Science. That's right. Science.
It's like, what?
Science. It's right there, number one.
What are you
And
pointing
science objective. The science objective. You can start writing if you want. You want to write? Or want me to write?
You said I'm going to talk about it. Now you're just talking about it.
Okay, he's going to talk about it, but I'm getting him started. So the science objective is the number one FOM.
Okay, so what Matt didn't tell you, so now he can write, we sat down and thought about some FOMs for you because we realized this is a pretty difficult thing for you to sit down and go, oh dear Lord, you're making us now think of like what NASA is and what UAH is, but we're high school kids, we don't know that. So we sat down and thought of several FOMs actually on our way to Charleston that you can use. And so what we're going to do is create a PowerPoint slide. And this PowerPoint slide will be the FOMs, is probably what it'll be called. And it will have already predetermined 7 figures of merit that you are to use in this analysis. And then what we want you to do is come up with 3 more, okay? So we're not making you do much, just 3. So that's a total of 10. And that's how you'll analyze your designs, okay? So the first one was science objective. And Matt is continuing to write right off the board, isn't he? So the first one is science objective. And so the question is, how well is the science objective answered, right? So you've got to sit down and think about, this is the science objective, here's the 2 alternatives we have. Which one best answers the question, right? That's what we're after. Which one gives us the most data or the quality data or whatever. That's what we're after with that one.
Now you guys are going to weight your FOMs. We're just giving you some.
We're just giving you the phone. We're not giving you the weight. We're not giving you the score. We're not giving you anything. With the question, we're probably giving you the preference, but we want you to figure that out, okay? And so what you're going to do is take each of these FOMs and then the 3 that you create and do the preference, the weighting, and then score them, evaluate them with your 2 alternatives in mind, right? And you're going to have to explain that to us. The second one is the likelihood of achieving, what the world does this say?
Science objective.
No, likelihood of achieving the project requirements.
Okay.
Matt has awful handwriting. So what that one is we gave you project requirements, right? 5 kilograms of mass, volume, don't hurt us, survive, be autonomous, right? What's the likelihood of you doing this with these different designs, right? Because you still don't know. You're making this stuff up, right? And so, because there's nothing concrete, we ain't even calculated a number yet. You haven't worked with Matt yet on the geekiness. So how likely is it that you're going to actually be able to do this with the constraints we gave you, you know? So that's that one. The third one is science mass ratio, okay? And so what we do is you've got this 5 kilograms. How much of that 5 kilograms is dedicated to pure science, right? We look at it in engineering as there's science, there's the instruments and all that stuff, and then there's the support equipment, the CPU, the antenna, the housing, the structure, you know, all that kind of stuff. What? Transmitter. All that kind of stuff, right? So there's all that support equipment, but how much is actually allocated to science? So we want that ratio, right? And so we're thinking maybe higher is better, so the more science you can, more mass you can allocate to science, the better, right? So I actually just gave you the preference. Whoops. So
That's what you're in a second.
Right.
Right. You're in front of the board.
okay, number 4 is design complexity. Basically that is which design has the most parts, the most stuff, right? Because the designs, there's 2 designs and one of them has more stuff than the other one does. You know, elements, parts, pieces, whatever you call it. There's just more stuff, more crap that goes into that one. So which one has more? Because complex actually is not a good thing. Simplistic, right? We want simplicity, so we want the opposite.
Simple is good.
Yeah, simple is way better. Likewise, number 5
Yes.
is ConOps complexity, the concept of operations. You might have a really simplistic design. It's like one piece, one part, right? But it's got to go through 50 billion steps. That's not fun, right? That's too complex. So that's what we're after there. So which design's ConOps requires the most steps to achieve the objective is what we're after there. So, because that's bad, right? If you've got to do a billion different objectives, billion different steps to make this puppy work, Lord, I mean, it's called risk, right? It's operational risk, because if one step doesn't work, you know, so we want that to be also simple. Number six is likelihood of mission success. So this is a global dude, right? This one is an all-encompassing going, well, how in the world, you know, which design has the higher probability of success? And this is more, remember, this isn't a real number. We can't go, well, the probability of success is 0.93 versus 0.945. You know, we don't have that kind of number. But you got a hunch of going, you know, that number one is probably more likely to do something and achieve something more than that stupid one we just thought up, you know? So, do that, right? That's what we're after on that one. And number 7 is like the really, one, okay? It's manufacturability, right? Because we've been telling you this whole time, this is conceptual, you know, you might create a prototype out of cardboard or styrofoam or something, but you're not going to build it. Well, what if you did, right? And so this one, manufacturability, is all about which one is easier to build, okay? So that's the point. You know, if we went out and said, all right, dudes, you just finished, make it. Which one would you rather us say, make it to? You know? Because the one you have to say, make it to, you're like, oh crap, that's got a lot of pieces, I got a lot of stuff to do. Or this other's like, whoo, it's not hard to do at all. We could build that one pretty quick, right? That's what manufacturability is all about.
So it's tough to make exotic shapes, it's tough to make you know, lots of holes and real thin materials, stuff like that.
So these are the 7 that we are giving you
and again,
to evaluate your 2 concepts.
There's a PowerPoint with all this online.
Yeah, so you'll be able to just fill it in, fill in the blank, right? So these are the 7. We want you to come up with 3 additional ones.
At least?
1, 2, 3. There's going to be 3 spots in the PowerPoint.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Don't go crazy, okay? So 3 more, and you must define what it is. You know, you've got to tell us the actual title of the FOM, and then your definition of it or your question, right? And then as well as do the preference, you know, the weighting, and then score them versus your 2 concepts.
So you should have 10 FOMs total.
10, right? 10. This is what we want, right? So 10 total FOMs. Because when we come see you in 2 weeks, when we come see you next time after the PSR, what we're wanting to see is that PowerPoint. You're going to get up and explain it to us.
Correct.
Okay? Because we got to make a choice. You've been doing pros and cons and, well, that looks nice. No. Now it's okay, we've chosen this.
So we want you
right?
to have a decision.
Yes.
And
decision.
Decision analysis results in a decision.
Right.
So you can tell us which of your design concepts, which of your alternatives is the best one that you're going to go forward with and do a more detailed design on, analysis on, and you can tell us why you're going to do it from these FOMs and mathematically prove which one is the best.
Right. Now you can't have, remember the supercar, the 3rd one, you could have already done that one too. You could say, well, we've looked now and we saw this was very positive in this area, but it was very negative in this one. And so we made this 3rd concept. Cool. But we need a decision. When we see you, you better, out of your mouth, say, we have decided to go with concept blah because of this, right? And give it all to us at that point. That's what we're after. We got to get this decision made so we can march forward with the rest of it.
Right.
Cool?
All right, that about sums it up. Remember, there's a PowerPoint chart. Please use the PowerPoint chart that's online. It'll have the word FOM in the title. It's on the downloads page on the right side where it says presentations, and it's with the science and with the other presentations that we've had that were in the videos. And so use that because we'll be looking for that when we come to see you next time. You can go along with the book for the buying the car. You can look at that, and also the rules for the decision analysis are in the book. Remember, 1, 3, or 9 for FOMs and for scores. For
5 or 7?
Negative, Ghostwriter. 1, 3, or 9 for your FOM weights and your alternative scores.
How about 2?
Negative. Sorry. 2.5? Maybe. No. Just kidding. No. 1, 3, or 9. So that's about it. Again, if you have any questions or issues between now and then, email us, email your UHPSC, have your teachers contact us. Please don't let a question about this, we don't want to show up and you said, well, we had a question, we couldn't get it answered. No. That don't fly. We want, please don't let a question get in your way. Please bother us until we answer your question, or bother your PSC until the question's answered. And if your PSC doesn't respond in a timely manner, let us know. Again, we hope that y'all had a good time with the SR, thank you. The PSR, we hope that the comments that you get from that are helpful, and we can't wait to see what you guys choose, what your decision is when we come to see you in a couple of weeks. Anything?
Signing off from Charleston.
Toodles!
Bye.